World Bank indicts CBN policy over skyrocketing inflation in Nigeria. And from the foreign scene, over 40 people die as monsoon storms ravage India and Bangladesh. Good evening and welcome on the news. I'm Olatomiwa Donald Falayi. Today, electorates in Ekiti State converged on various polling units to elect their next governor when Governor Kayode Fayemi's tenure expires in October 2022. Osrc Sahid Aribisala reports that electorates in the state commended the Independent Electoral Commission (INEC) for the bimodal vital accreditation system, but called for a review of the allocation of voting units, which seemed to overpopulate some areas than others. His report. We'll bring you the reports during the course of the bulletin. Now, they say necessity is the mother of invention. Inadequacies in the 2010 electoral law prompted its amendment by a National Assembly, resulting in the 2022 electoral law. Main features of the Electoral Act include mandatory use of card readers and other technological devices in party primaries and main elections, specific timeline for the submission of list of candidates, outlined criteria for submission of candidates, as well as pegging of campaign expenses, among other far-reaching pronouncements. With the Saturday, June 18, 2022 Ekiti State's governorship poll as the first litmus test of the new electoral law, Osrc political correspondent Juliet Bona examines the effectiveness of the new legislation through the eyes of voters, and that report as well shall be brought to you. There was a mini rowdiness at Ward 10, Unit 9, Ilukpeju in Ikere local government area of Ekiti State, as some officers of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps allegedly stormed the polling unit and took away a huge sum of money from some politicians in the unit. A voter in the unit spoke on condition of anonymity that the undisclosed amount of money hijacked by the security men was meant to buy votes from the voters in the area. According to him, some of the voters who had voted for their candidates in the unit left in annoyance as they were not able to collect money for the work done. He said NSCDC officers stormed the unit and harassed the person holding the money, collected the money from him, and took it away. Away from Ekiti election, Governor Matawale of Zamfara State has declared June 20th to 24th, 2022 as a work-free week to enable the state's public and civil servants to go to their respective localities to register and obtain their permanent voter cards. This was contained in a statement by the Commissioner for Information, Ibrahim Dosara, and made available to journalists. The Commissioner said by this announcement, all commissioners, special advisors, permanent secretaries, other public office holders, party officials, and traditional rulers are hereby directed to monitor and supervise the ongoing voter registration exercise. According to him, it is to ensure that all eligible voters within their wards and local governments register and obtain their permanent voter cards to enable them exercise their fundamental rights and civic responsibilities. The All Progressives Congress (APC) has submitted the list of all senatorial candidates in the party to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). There are controversies around some names of candidates who contested the presidential elections, like the Senate President Ahmed Lawan, the Governor of Ebonyi State David Umahi, and the former Niger Delta Affairs Minister Godswill Akpabio, whose names resurfaced on the senatorial list they didn't contest for. It was reported that the Yobe North senatorial candidate of the APC, Baher Machina, has threatened to seek redress in the court as it claimed to have been illegally delisted by the party. Nothing has been heard of others whose names were submitted for Humai and Akpabio. As victims of our massacre are laid to rest, commanders of Amotekun Security Network in the southwest have resolved to put in place measures that will prevent a repeat of the attack. They spoke in Owo, Ondo State during a fact-finding mission to the town to examine the incident that claimed 40 innocent lives and wounded dozens of others. Osrc's Richard Ileswami reports that the Amotekun chiefs later paid condolence visits to Oloro Oba Ajibade Ogunye and the Bishop Catholic Diocese of Ondo, Jude Arogundade.
The deed has been done. Victims of the Catholic Church terror attack have been buried and the injured are still in hospitals for treatment. And what is more is how to apprehend perpetrators of the heinous crime and how to prevent a repeat of the incident which plunged Ondo State into unimaginable sorrow. This necessitated the visit of Amotekun commanders from Ogun, Oyo, Ekiti, Osun to Ondo State to the scene of the incident with a view to reviewing the attack, assessing the security situation and profiling solutions to prevent a recurrence anywhere in the southwest.
To the Ondo State people, we want to reassure them that the chief executives of all the western states are determined to continue to ensure the security of lives and property are guaranteed in these states, and we want the people to be rest assured that even the federal government and all other security agencies are not leaving any stone unturned in apprehending the perpetrators of this dastardly act and ensuring that we prevent a repeat of it.
He later paid a condolence visit to Oloro, where Ondo Amotekun commander, who doubles as special advisor to Governor Olwarotimi Akeredolu on security, Adetunji Adeleye, and his colleagues assured the monarch that Amotekun will do everything possible to protect the southwest.
Criminals think they can test our will, our determination to ensure that we have a safe environment in the southwest. We challenge them. I want to assure them that we'll do everything within our power, that they are not just brought to book, but any other person planning to do a similar thing in any part of the southwestern state, we are up to the task.
They also visited the Bishop, Catholic Diocese of Ondo, Most Reverend Jude Arogundade, where they described the incident as an attack on the Yoruba race, saying that Amotekun will not condone activities of the criminals in the region. The Bishop, who appreciated them for the visit, urged them to work together for the peace, harmony, and the stability of southwest states.
Your coming means a lot to us, and the assurance you have given me right from the beginning.
As relatives, families, and indeed the people of Ondo State continue to mourn the dead and stand against activities of those inflicting pains on the society, all eyes are on Amotekun and other security agencies to fish out the attackers and to also up their games for improved security. Richard Ileswami, Osrc News.
The dust raised by the June 5 Owo attack is yet to settle. A group geared towards the unity of the Asian town is the latest to identify with the town monarch Oba Gbadegeshi Ogunye and donate cash as well as medical items to the victims. Joy Pius reports that the Oloro also hinted of plans to smoke out the perpetrators of the attack from their hideouts. Report.
Owo is an association driven by the passion to sustain the unity of our kingdom. Following the nefarious attack on St. Francis Catholic Church in the town, members of the group are in the palace of the Oloro to commiserate with the monarch and donate to the medical needs of victims. Led by a member of the Board of Trustees, Stephen Daramola, the group condemned the unprovoked attack, adding that Owo is a peaceful town and no aggression would truncate its scenery. They urged government and security agencies to fetch out the masterminds of the deadly attack.
This type of incident has never happened in Owo. Owo has never been conquered by anybody. And this dastardly act that was performed on the 5th of June 2022 will remain indelible in our memory. The material, as stated by one of the members who's a nurse, infusions, consumables, and some drugs, antibiotics and...
The Olawo Oba Ajibade Ogunwoye appreciated the group for the support towards victims of the terror attack. The Oba said traditional rites are on to ensure that perpetrators of the vicious attack are nabbed and brought to book.
They've shown concern that what happened on 5th, that is Sunday the 5th, was unbecoming of those people, which we never expected. Those who perpetrated the act, that dastardly act, God in His mercy, by the Olodumare, I know they will be caught in no distant time. I appreciate the West One for coming together to donate towards the health of those who have sustained various degrees of injuries.
Packages delivered for the victims are cash, medical items including consumables, injectables, and infusions. Joy Pius, OSRC News.
You're watching OSRC News at 7. We'll bring you more stories after this break. You're welcome back. You can watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook, OSRC TV Ondo, and on YouTube you can subscribe to the channel OSRC TV Ondo. Moving to other stories. Civil society organizations, non-government organizations, religious groups, among others, have been urged to join hands with government to fight the surge of HIV/AIDS in Ondo State. The Secretary to the State Government and Chairman Ondo State Agency for the Control of AIDS, Osrc, Princess Oladunyodu, made the call at the 2022 biannual State Local Action Control of AIDS and Civil Society Organization Stakeholders meeting held in Akure, the Ondo State capital. Joy Pius again has details.
The biannual coordination review meeting for stakeholders organized by the Ondo State Agency for Control of AIDS, Osrc, is to provide leadership, policy direction for best practice and deliberate on the way forward in the fight against HIV/AIDS in Ondo State. The chairman of the agency and secretary to the state government, Princess Oladunyodu, represented by the project manager, Dr. Dayo Adegbulu, applauded the responsiveness and commitment of all the major players towards bringing HIV prevalence to zero level in Ondo State, adding that the government is committed towards providing enabling social and policy environment to facilitate HIV/AIDS intervention programs.
Our achievement of today is what? Our actions and inactions of yesterday. And our achievements tomorrow will also be our actions of what? And the actions of today. So this meeting is very, very strategic, very, very important, because you are major stakeholders, probably not in the health sector, but also in the non-health sector. The summary of everything is about case finding and what? Placing everybody that is positive in Ondo State on treatment.
The special advisor to Governor Akredolu on Health, Professor Dayo Faduile, appreciated the government and the team's efforts in introducing self-test kits initiative, which he said will further encourage people to get tested for HIV by themselves.
That if we get tested, if we encourage our people to get tested and treated, we will certainly have a safer environment, as well as to have elder population.
delivering their goodwill messages, the coordinator, civil society organizations, Pius Akomolafe, and Head of Office, APIN Public Health Initiative, Abimbola Ariyo, commended the initiative, saying the meeting should be held periodically to tackle HIV and AIDS in the state.
There are some partners who have been in existence and other partners are coming in. How do we coordinate our activities? And that's one of the essence why we are going to be. To avoid parallel working and even double counting.
And I hope, as I mentioned, that a lot of action points will come in after this meeting so that we can re-strategize to collaborate to fight the scourge of HIV.
The meeting also featured presentation on innovative approaches towards HIV epidemic control and program sustainability at the state and local level, a technical session on training of HIV self-test, as well as distribution of free test kits to attendees. Joy Pius, Osrc News.
Taking the stories on Ekiti elections again. Today, electorates in Ekiti State converged on various polling units to elect their next governor when Governor Kayode Fayemi's term expires in October 2022. Osrc's Saheed Aribisala reports that electorates in the state commended the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for the bimodal vital accreditation system, but called for a review of the allocation of voting units, which seemed to overpopulate some areas than others. His report.
It's decision time again for the people of Ekiti State as the tenure of the incumbent Governor Kayode Fayemi winds up. The 2022 gubernatorial election is not only important for the electorate here, but also for Nigerians because it's the first governorship election after the Electoral Amendment 2022 signing, as well as a litmus test for the new innovations by the Independent National Electoral Commission.
The atmosphere of this state is okay, and this community, Barodo.
Unlike previous elections, the voter turnout suggested the improved awareness on the need to exercise their franchise. At Ekiti Southwest, Igbarodo Polling Unit 15, Obatedo Unit 13, Alamoko Ward 2, Unit 27, Igede Odofin House Polling Unit 5, Ward 13, Inyiwan, Unit 12, voters did the needful under a peaceful atmosphere.
It is zero. That is, nobody has been accredited yet.
However, there were key takeaways from the election with regards to the functionality of the bimodal voter accreditation system.
Amalo kade, tikade obashi amalo orúkọ ẹ̀ sabate orúkọ ẹ̀ so ma gbé wá méjì ni. Sedaka lo card or kakante orúkọ ẹ̀ sí.
Voters lamented that at one of the units in Bashiri and at Ward 10, Unit 2, Okesha, the electoral officials seemed overwhelmed.
Additional manpower. The machine they brought is not enough. We have larger votes. This unit is the largest unit in Ward 10. So we need manpower.
This particular unit need to be split at least. To 2 or 3 units. We use just a bit of the net and 500 voters. And we are having about 2,500 voters.
Past 4 p.m. on election day here in Afao Kajola, Ward 10, Unit 9, and electorates here in Ikere Ekiti are stood on the queue, hoping to exercise their franchise and be part of those who will elect the governor of Ekiti come October 2020.
We have just one machine here that is working. And we have 1,600 plus voters that wants to, exercise their franchise. Like I'm talking with you right now, I have not voted. Census now is that the police officer said he will allow me to vote.
16 political parties produced candidates that contested in the election, while one will emerge as the next governor of Ekiti State. Saheed Aribisala, Osrc News.
Necessity, they say, is the mother of invention. Inadequacies in the 2010 electoral law prompted its amendment by National Assembly, resulting in the 2022 electoral law. Main features of the Electoral Act include mandatory use of card readers and other technological devices in party primaries and main elections, Specific timeline for the submission of list of candidates, outlined criteria for submission of candidates, as well as pegging of campaign expenses, among other far-reaching pronouncements, with the Saturday, June 18, 2022 Ekiti State governorship poll as the first litmus test of the new electoral law. Osrc's political correspondent Juliet Bonner examines the effectiveness of the new legislation through the eyes of voters.
It's a different narrative from the old system of voting following the amended Electoral Act 2022, with Ekiti State governorship election as the first practical scene of the new innovations of INEC. The bimodal voter accreditation system BVAS was put to use at every polling unit visited by OSRC's crew. Although there were complaints on the BVAS machine, others also commended it, saying it accelerated the process.
Well, I'm yet to vote, but I think it's an improvement over the last cycle. The new Electoral Act requires that accreditation and voting be done simultaneously, and I think it's a step further.
I've cast my vote, and it was seamless. I must commend INEC for this improvement, but I hope that it's like that across the state. But it's just a unit out of over 2,000 units. But in my units, I'm impressed and with the arrangement that has been put in place.
After the business process, you go to vote right away, and it has accelerated the process. I just pray it functions for as long as the election lasts.
The head of Department of Voter Education and Publicity, INEC Ekiti State, Mr. Femi Akibiyi, said the innovations by the Commission will be improved upon ahead subsequent elections.
It is a kind of innovation. Unlike before, when we are using smart card reader, when the biometrics failed, we resorted to incident form. But in this election, there's no need, and we are now going to use incident form. If your biometrics fail, if your facial fail, please go home.
There's a watertight security as many of different agencies patrol streets and polling units to ensure no breach of law and order. Another addition to the security officials is Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, who are on ground to checkmate vote buying and other fraudulent acts. The Nigerian Police Force Polling Relations Officer, Mr. Olumi Adejobi, said it was a collaborative effort of all security agencies to enforce peace and order.
They continue to move until the election comes to an end. In case there's any problem at any polling unit, these are the first responder who will move straight to that polling unit for any assistance.
One of the new innovations by INEC is electronic transmission of results, and at the time of filing this report, presiding officers are already filing in results from polling units. Juliet Buna, Osrc News.
A federal local government has been promised more dividends of democracy. The chairman of the local government, Alex Oladimeji, spoke while presenting the 2022 budget proposal to the legislative arm of government. Bisola Luko reports that the presentation was witnessed by traditional rulers. The report is presented from our studios.
The federal local government proposed to spend 3.058 billion naira in the year 2022. Breakdown shows that of the total, 2.55 billion naira goes to recurrent expenditure, while capital will go up over 507 million naira. The budget presentation attracted traditional rulers and political leaders. Presenting the budget, the chairman, Alex Oladimeji, said the appropriation would further transform the council area.
You know, every government cannot run without budget, and it's of this fact that it's a necessity for us to present a budget. You cannot spend money without budget. In this case, we are doing the necessary thing that we need to do regarding the budget, and that's why we are doing presentation today.
The leader of the House, Dixon Ogumala, said the budget will be attended to speedily.
We're going to look into it, so to work on it. After that, if everything is okay, we're going to approve it. It is part of the development in the federal and local government, and I believe that after the passing of the after the approval, and I believe that the federal government is going to be moving forward.
The Alara of Ilaramokin Obaderemi Adefehiti said the proposal will help to have a financial plan that will galvanize the economy of the area.
Well, a budget is supposed to be prepared as a plan, as a template, which people will have to follow from time to time. Without any plan, then you cannot make any progress. So they must have considered a lot of data, number of people, number of schools, hospitals, and so on. So before a budget could be prepared. So it's to help the development of the community and the federal local government area as a whole.
The budget proposal after passage is expected to start as soon as possible.
The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has said its members are not beggars and the stoppage of the salaries by the government won't force them to call off the strike. The leadership of the union also commended the members for keeping faith with the union despite the hardship imposed on their families as a result of the No Work, No Pay directive of the federal government. Following the failure of the government to meet some lingering demands of the union, ASU on Friday 14, 2022 announced a 1-month warning strike followed by another 8-week strike before it eventually commenced its indefinite strike. The continued strike led to the imposition of No Work, No Pay by the federal government. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, said the directive was in compliance with Section 4.3 of the Labour Law. The World Bank has said the Central Bank of Nigeria's development finance intervention is fearing inflation in the short term and weakening the ability of the Apex Bank to control inflation. According to the Global Bank, the CBN's continued provision of subsidized funding to certain sectors has to slow down as it is undermining the ability of commercial banks to lend on a risk-adjusted pricing basis. It added that the Apex Bank's disbursement in the private sector as its share of private sector credit rose from 6.5% in 2019 to 10% in 2021. It disclosed these in its Nigeria Development Update, June 2022. According to the Washington-based bank, expanding government programs to support micro, small, and medium enterprises is a priority to protect viable and vulnerable MSMEs against rising uncertainties. And to the foreign scene. Monsoon storms in Bangladesh and India have killed at least 41 people and unleashed devastating floods that left millions of others stranded. Floods are a regular menace to millions of people in low-lying Bangladesh, but experts say climate change is increasing their frequency, ferocity, and unpredictability. Relentless downpours over the past week have inundated vast stretches of Bangladesh northeast, with troops deployed to evacuate households cut off from neighboring communities. Schools have been turned into relief shelters to house entire villages inundated in a matter of hours by rivers that suddenly burst their banks. To end the news tonight, let's take another look at the major stories. Massive turnout and peaceful voters conduct dominated Ekiti governorship election today as citizens now wait on INEC for announcement of results. Also has dared federal government over ongoing industrial action, saying stoppage of salary won't twist striking workers to return to the classrooms. The World Bank has blamed CBN's policy over skyrocketing inflation in Nigeria, saying the Apex Bank needs to rejig its program for economic revival. And from the foreign scene, over 40 people have been confirmed dead as monsoon storms hit India and Bangladesh. And that's it on the news tonight. Thanks for watching. Good evening.